So, as we all know, one of the main motivations behind the terrorist attacks in Norway was to supposedly prevent a Muslim takeover of Europe, and that this attack was meant to awaken the spirit of the Crusades to defend the homelands from this supposed Muslim takeover. Now, many people are asking, well, if this guy, Mr. Anders, wanted to defend Europe from Muslims, why did he attack a bunch of innocent Norwegians? Well, if you read his manifesto, he makes it clear. Because according to him, the real problem are the left wingers, or as he calls them, cultural Marxists. They're the main problems, the left. They're the traitors because it's the left, the cultural Marxists, who allow the Muslims to take over. So if you take the left out, then the Muslims can't take over anymore because it's the left that is allowing the Muslims to take over. And that's why he struck at the political sites of the main political party that is in power in Norway, because he views them, they are left-wingers, and he views them as allowing the takeover to happen. So they are traitors and they must be taken out. You see, something some of you need to understand is that many of these right-wingers hate left-wingers more than they hate Muslims. And you need to understand that. They view them, Muslims and left-wingers, as one and the same, but they hold a deeper contempt for the left, as they call them, socialists, cultural Marxists, and so forth and so forth. So that's why he struck at the Norwegians, at the left, at the camp and one of their building headquarters. That's why he struck them rather than Muslims. I mean, even in Pat Condell's own video on Norway, he has a video where he says the left enables Muslims to do all these bad things in Europe. So that's the mentality of many of these right-wingers. You see, they say it's the left that allows Muslims to do this. The left are the main trouble. The left are traitors. I debated one guy, Walid Shoebat. I'm sure many of you know who he is. Walid Shoebat was recently exposed as a fraud on CNN. I had a discussion with him last year on some Christian television network, and he openly said that left-wingers are collaborators with the Islamists, with the jihadists. So that's from where they're coming from. And you need to understand that very well. But nonetheless, as I said, one of the main motivations for this terrorist was that Muslims are taken over, so I have to do this to prevent the Muslim takeover. Now, as we all know, right-wing propaganda has been filled with this message for the past few years. Muslims are taken over, we're going to be overrun by Muslims, so forth and so forth. That has been their main propaganda slogan for the past few years. Eurabia. And they have the sign of the EU with the crescent and all of that sort of stuff. This has been one of their main driving propaganda themes. Now, is this true? Is there a Muslim takeover of Europe? Now, to Mr. Anders, I know you wrote a 1,500-word manifesto, but I'm afraid all that motivation you had was basically just paranoia. I know that's going to hurt, but because we're going to look at the facts right now. We're going to look at as I said, we look at the facts as to whether there's a Muslim takeover. So how about we'll just look at the statistics, because the statistics will tell us if there is a Muslim takeover, right? After all, statistics are statistics, and the right, they love using statistics, so let's use our own statistics now. These are official statistics to check if there is a Muslim takeover of Europe. I mean, let's start with Anders' own country, Norway. In his own country, Norway, Muslims make a whopping 1% of the population. One. Now, there are some who say two. All right, whatever. So, Muslims in his country make up a massive 1 to 2% of his country. That is a takeover, my friends. What about Germany? Germany is also seeing a rise of the right, a rise of these right-wingers saying Muslims are taking over. The Muslim population in Germany is at a massive, a whopping huge 4%. So 4% of Germany is Muslim. The takeover has begun. I mean, 4%, my good God. In the UK, what about the UK? Muslims make up a whopping 2.4% of the country. 2.4% of that country is Muslim. Whatever, man, that country is already, Muslims have taken over. 2.4%? Are you kidding me? I mean, that's a massive number, isn't it? France, which is often said to be the first country that is going to fall to the Muslims and become the first Islamic state in the heart of Europe. France, the estimates are anywhere from 5 to 10%, although most estimates are from 5 to 8%. So in France, the first country that is going to fall has a massive, a huge, I mean 5 to 8% of this country is Muslim. I mean, that's just, the takeover has begun. Spain, which also has a rise of the right, they want to start banning the burqa in Spain. Well, in Spain, Muslims make up, and this is so scary. I mean, this will make anyone want to start a crusade. I mean, in Spain, Muslims make up 1% of the population. I mean, that's it. What about Italy? Italy also has a rise of the right. In fact, there was one right-wing politician in Italy who called Anders' ideas as brilliant. Yes, these ideas are so brilliant. We 100% support them. Well, in Italy, Muslims make up a massive 1% of the country. In fact, some estimates say that Muslims don't even make 1%. Some say Muslims even make up less than 1% in the country. I mean, that is a takeover, my friends. Crusade! Knights Templars! What about Netherlands? In Netherlands, as we all know, Geert Wilders is running in that country, talking about how Muslims are going to take over. Muslims make up a whopping 5%. What about Denmark? Denmark, which also has a rise of the right, Muslims make up a whopping 2%. What about Sweden? Sweden, which is also starting to see a rise of the right, has a whopping Muslim population of 2. That's 2%. I mean, can you see the takeover? The takeover has begun. What about Austria? Austria, which has also seen the rise of the right. In Austria, the Muslims make up a population of up to 2.4%. I mean, these are the statistics, and I've just given you the major European powerhouses. I mean, that is a takeover, wouldn't you say? I mean, these statistics show that Muslims are taking over, right? No. I mean, these statistics should open the eyes of anyone to the crazy paranoia of the right when they talk. I mean, Italy, Muslims make up 1%, some say less, and right-wingers in that country are talking about a Muslim takeover. Norway, 1% or 2%, whichever you want to pick, that's the number of Muslims in Norway, and this crazy terrorist writes a 1,500-word manifesto talking about how he has to protect Europe and his country from a Muslim takeover, from supposedly 1 to 2% of the population. I mean, these guys have lost their minds, some of them. And here's something you need to realize, ladies and gentlemen, and this is very interesting. These right wingers always say Muslims are taken over. So I have a question. Can any of you right wingers point me to a single Muslim army that is trying to invade your country right now? Can you show me one? In fact, can you show me any Muslim country that is trying to set up a base, a military base in your country? Can you show that to me? Because I've looked, and the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, there is not a single Muslim army right now that is attempting or trying to attempt an invasion of a European Western country, nor is there any single Muslim official military base in any Western European country. You see, when these people talk about a Muslim takeover of Europe, they're basically talking about normal Muslim civilians in a country. So according to them, a normal civilian who just happens to be a Muslim is trying to take over the country. They can't actually show any official military invasion. They can't actually show any official military bases in their country from a Muslim country. All they have for us are Muslim civilians. That's their definition of